Hello everyone, in today's video we are going to cover multiple representations of slope. Our learning target for today is I can represent slope in multiple different ways. So we've talked about slope and we've represented it with equations, with tables, and with graphs. So let's look at this verbal description and represent the slope with an equation, a table, and a graph. So a baby giraffe measures 6 feet tall when it's born and it grows an average of 1/2 foot each month. So I know when it's born it's 6 feet tall, and each month it's growing 1/2 foot. Equations, remember, were in the form y equals mx plus b. This is called slope-intercept form. My m stood for my slope, or my rate of change, how much I'm increasing or decreasing, and then my b was my y-intercept, or my starting point. So if I want to create an equation of this verbal description, I know the total height of the baby giraffe will be equal to 1/2 a foot each month, so 1/2 x, plus its starting height when it's born of 6 feet. So my equation is y equals 1/2 x plus 6. Looking at this in a table, if the giraffe is 0 months old, so just born, it would be 6 feet tall, because 1/2 times 0 is 0, but then I have to add my starting height of 6 feet. If the giraffe is 1 month old, I'd have 1/2 times 1 plus 6, so that's 6.5 feet tall. 2 months would be 7 feet tall, because 1/2 times 2 is 1, plus 6 is 7. 3 months, 7.5. 4 months, 8, etc., etc., etc. I'm increasing by 1/2 a foot each month. Looking at this in a graph, I know my x-axis will be labeled months because in my table, the independent variable is months. I can't change time. Time is always linear. It is always moving forward. So that is my independent variable. The variable that changes based on my independent variable was my height. So my y-axis is my height. Now my scale, my table isn't increasing tremendously, so my scale will just be 1. Now just so it's a little bit nicer, every 2 boxes I'm going to label 2. Now plotting my points, 0 months is 6 feet, so I start at 0 and plot my point at 6. 1 month is 6.5 feet, so 1 month is 6.5. Drawing my line. There's my graph. Now we can answer a few questions based on my graph, my equation, and my table. Explain how we found the ordered pairs to create your graph. Well, in my table, the months and the height were the ordered pairs that I used for my graph. What's the slope of the graph and what does it represent? My slope was 1/2 a foot, and it represents the baby giraffe growing 1/2 a foot each month. What's the y-intercept and what does it represent? The y-intercept was my starting point, so 6 feet tall. That's the baby giraffe's height when it was born. What does the ordered pair 9, 10.5 represent in the context of the situation? So 9 is my x and 10.5 is my y. X stood for months, so 9 is 9 months, and y was my height, so 10.5 feet. So at 9 months, the baby giraffe will be 10.5 feet tall. And then if the giraffe is 12 feet tall, how many months old is it? Remember my equation was y equals 1/2 x plus 6. If I'm looking for 12 feet tall, I can plug in 12 for y. So 12 will equal 1/2 x plus 6. I'll subtract 6, so 6 equals 1/2 x. To get rid of my 1/2, I'll multiply by 2. So x will equal 12. X stood for my months, so the baby giraffe is 12 months old when it is 12 feet tall. In today's lesson we learned we can represent slope through an equation, table, or graph. That's a wrap on today's video. We'll see you in the next one.